Hello, I'm Robin Taylor from Jenks Library. Today I will be talking about a few of my favorite fantasy books for upper elementary aged readers. If you have been a fan of fantasy for a while, you may be familiar with some of these titles. But if not, these are some great books to get started in the genre with. All types of books are allowed for summer reading program completion, but check out these great reads if you want to explore fantasy for this year's theme, Imagine Your Story. To start off, I have A Tale from the Modern World, Dragons in a Bag by Zetta Elliott, with illustrations by Geneva B. Magic is fading from our world, but that doesn't mean it's gone completely. Many of us imagine distant lands and faraway forests when we think of magic, but sometimes you can find it in the most unlikely places, such as the middle of Brooklyn. For 9-year-old Jackson, it's always just been him and his mama for as long as he can remember. When they face eviction, she takes him to spend the day with someone she calls Ma while she goes to court. Jackson is shocked. He had no idea he had family anywhere, much less so nearby. What's more, he quickly finds out that she's actually not his grandmother, but a witch. And she did help raise his mom. She has been tasked with delivering baby dragons to the magical realm because they need magic to grow up happily, and there just isn't enough in this world anymore. Some people think it's better to keep magic separated, while others think things would be better if it was allowed to thrive in this world again. When Jackson and Ma's transporter lands them in the wrong time and dimension, Jackson ends up on his own and has to get help. Will he be able to get the dragons to their new home? What more will he learn about himself and his family along the way? For elementary-aged readers interested in urban fantasy, this is the book for you. It grabs attention from the get-go, and scattered throughout it are illustrations which help bring the characters to life, such as this one. The story addresses how important cultural diversity is and warns against not asking for help when you need it. It is pretty short, with just 168 pages, and won't take long at all. The recommended grade level for this book is somewhere around 2nd to 5th grade. The next 3 books are rated for 4th to 6th grade readers, but please remember that these are very general recommendations, not hard rules. Many younger readers can tackle these texts, and older ones can benefit from reading them as well. Next, we will travel to a magical land with The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. The people of the Protectorate sacrifice a child every year to the Witch in the Woods in order to keep her at bay. Antane, an elder in training, sees the suffering of the families of these children and feels that there must be a better way. He waits to see if he can talk to the witch and convince her to stop taking the children. Zan, the forest witch, who actually isn't evil, is on her way to save another abandoned child. She doesn't know why these babies are left in the woods, but she makes sure every year to take them across the forest to the free cities to a new loving family. She feeds the babies with starlight on her way, but one year she mistakenly feeds a girl moonlight instead. Because the power this grants the child, Zan adopts her and raises her with the help of an ancient swamp monster and a perfectly tiny dragon. The girl, Luna, must be protected from her own powerful magic until she is old enough to understand and use it. When it comes time for Luna to be told about her powers, other truths begin to reveal themselves. The Protectorate, Zan, the swamp monster, and many more will have to face the past in order to survive what is to come. This book has many characters and complex plotting, but each character is so unique and each story so interesting, it is really easy to keep track and is an excellent way to introduce such a complicated story to any reader. This epic tale moves along quickly, but has many twists and turns. And in this story, everything is connected. The Girl Who Drank the Moon is one of those stories people would say is well written because the words form a rhythm and pulls the reader along, and it is the thickest of today's recommendations at 388 pages. But bonus for parents, it's an excellent book to read out loud together. From a land of magic, we will travel to the stars with Yoon Ha Lee's Dragon Pearl. What happens when you put Korean mythology into space? Dragon Pearl is a sci-fi fantasy crossover that will show you just that. Min comes from a family of fox spirits. Unlike the other supernaturals, who can only shift between human forms and their original forms, foxes can change into anything. A table, a tree, or even another person entirely. As a fox, not only can Min change forms, she can exert a charm on others and persuade them to do what she wants. These powers have given foxes a bad reputation throughout history. So much so that Min's family hides what they are from their neighbors for fear of persecution. When Min finds out that her brother is in trouble for deserting the space forces and searching for the Dragon Pearl, a magical object with the power to terraform planets, she must use all of her abilities to find him. Will Min be able to prove her brother's innocence? There is no need to know any Korean mythology or language before reading this, and the printed version comes with a pronunciation guide in the back. All 310 pages of this story are totally action-packed. Now, not all fantasy books need to be about witches or dragons. There is a group of almost real fantasy books that often don't even get classified as fantasy novels in our collection. These books typically have some small thing about them that sets them apart from stories set in the real world. Our next book, Flora and Ulysses, The Illuminated Adventures by Dicamillo, sits comfortably in this group. It all started with Mrs. Tootie Tickham's birthday present, which is a vacuum cleaner. The story opens with her husband gifting her a Ulysses Super Suction Multi-Terrain 2000X for her birthday. When the vacuum eats a squirrel in the backyard, a new, albeit patchy, superhero is born. Somehow, while much of his fur was being pulled away, the process of traveling through this vacuum cleaner has changed the squirrel. He has powers, he's strong, he can fly, and also he can type. He writes poetry. Flora's mother is not about to have a squirrel in her house, using her typewriter, superpowers or no. Will Flora and Ulysses, the super squirrel, find a way to defeat his new arch nemesis? This Newbery Award winner comes across seamlessly from novel to graphic novel and back again. K.G. Campbell's soft pencil illustrations add to the wholesome nature of this story across 232 pages. Speaking of graphic novels, it is about time we talked about one. We have plenty of fantasy-themed graphic novels in our collection, but one of my favorites is the Amulet series by Kazu Kibuishi. This series has a wider age range from 4th to 12th grade, one warning being that some of the creatures depicted can be a bit scary for younger readers. Book 1, The Stone Keeper, starts off with the tragic loss of Emily's father. Afterward, the mother moves her and her brother Naveen to an old family home in order to get a fresh start. The house needs a lot of fixing up, and they spend their first day rigorously cleaning. Emily and Naveen find a hidden amulet, but that's not all the house is hiding. That night, their mother is kidnapped by a monster in the basement. They follow it to a magical world where they find long-lost family secrets. With the help of a mechanical rabbit and her brother, Emily must control the power of her great-grandfather's amulet in order to save her mother and the magical world. This graphic novel is a quick read at 182 pages, very thin, so you'll want to pick up a few volumes at a time if you can. Now, those are my 5 fantastic reads for this week. If you have any questions about this video, feel free to comment or message the Jenks Library Facebook. Links for each of these titles will be in the comments, and next week I will be recommending 5 fantastic reads for teens. See you then!